Cool. Welcome, you beautiful people. I'm going to make sure the video is on, and it is on. I'm going to take a seat. So, why you shouldn't trust other people? This is where we're going to start. If you've watched The Perks of Being a Wallflower, if you're not willing to conform to the majority, this is for you. So, continue at your own risk. I'm going to be walking through Dan Koh's basically way to go about your content. Wrote a newsletter using that as a script. Here we go. So who taught you how to do the things you've learned to do? How to show up in life? Was it your parents, classmates, social media? Who taught you the way you're supposed to go after your dreams? How you're supposed to approach a girl, date, have sex, marry? How to approach God? No one. Everyone. But the thing is, they didn't do it by talking to you. They didn't do it by sitting you down and telling you this is how life's going to be. But you observed, haven't you? You've been observing people ever since you've been growing up, ever since you've been a kid. And it's not what they told you, but it's what you caught from their behavior. If parents don't rear their kids, the world will. I have no freaking idea how it's the default that parents just, they don't have the birds and the bees talk, right? But that's just one conversation of a vast array of conversations that should be had. You know, the mannerisms talk is had, I think, for most people, hopefully. I was taught mannerisms by, hey, don't have elbows on the table. Hey, look someone in the eye. Have a firm handshake. But the things beyond that, how to stay in shape, how to get in shape, how to track your finances, how to have a good relationship with your finances, how to approach a woman, how to go about life pursuing your dreams. And maybe it's because, well, they didn't. So there's a default path that we've all witnessed, right? Where did it lead for me? Where did it lead me? It led me to learning about sex through classmates at the age of 12. It led to, at the age of 14, my teammates telling me, hey, don't ask her out. Don't date her. Hook up with her. I was at 14. I had my first edible at 15, first alcoholic beverage at 17, lost my virginity at 17, and I learned how to mock God, learned to mock God when I didn't even know him. And it was around this time that I remember 7th grade specifically. So I had to have been, 13, 14. I'm in gym class, and I had this specific thought of, if I continue to be who I am, people will dislike me. Because I look to win and I want to be competitive. But I want to fit in more than my desire to be that competitor. And it was like a crossroads, and I chose to be liked. And this is where it led me to. It led me to wanting to be somebody who others engaged with, talked to, invited into the conversation. Because I worried about what everyone thought of me. I was scared to be who I really was. And consequently, I kept on chasing validation through doing, speaking, acting like the majority. So I caught that from others. I caught that from my peers, but also family. I caught that from the adults. It's where it started. I would observe behavior and I would mimic it. That's why parent rearing is so important, is because it's never made sense, do as I say, not as I do. You're literally showing me a model of how to live by simply showing me how you live. It's wild to me that there's so many different perspectives on lifestyles and how to do certain things, right? And you can speak about it all you want, but people speak far more with how they act than what they say. Do you know what I mean? Like who they actually are. You can use words all the time to try to fit in, but people do that also with behaviors, with actions. So it's really important. And you know, the thing that kills me is that you go down this default path, you stray further and further from God and His design for you, which He absolutely has. And so, this feeling of needing to belong, it stems from a feeling of, I feel insecure and I need love. And the only way I know how to go about receiving love is through the validation of others. And this world, if you continue to go down its path, it'll show you its means to receive the things God's willing and ready to give you. So, for example, by 22, I had learned to, instead of date, hook up. But then naturally, what do I want to do? Date. Starting backwards. So it'd start physical, then I'd look to get to know the person, then we'd bump heads, and then it would just not work out, and I'd spiral. I would be heartbroken, and it would stink. And it was so backwards. It's like you start physical, then you look to see what your friends think and get to know the person. And by that point, you're too far in to realize, oh, this is not going to work. So you try to distract yourself from realizing, like, hey, this is probably something I shouldn't continue. How many other things in life are there like that, though? Where you start something because you're duped. You're duped, like the drinking, like the smoking, like the hookup culture. And you get so far into it. And the instinct in you knows, hey, this is wrong. This is not good. But you continue because of how much pressure, how much reinforcement there is outside of you. So this conversation is it's developing. Stick with me here. I'll tell you how to work around it and build differently. So first off, though, this has been a thought on my mind for so long. It's all retch and no vomit. It never gets there. That's a quote by Alan Watts, and he's basically explaining how parents raise their kids to live lives that they lived. And through that, they justify their actions by the actions of their kids, and then consequently their grandkids. But it never gets anywhere. Because what people are looking for is the thing behind status. It's the thing behind prestige. It's the currency that they want from other people. But we're looking in the wrong places. The world rushes you toward this, and so it rushes you toward average. What is this? This is looking like go to college, get a stable job, find a relationship, marry that person, create a family, and always on to the next thing. Never leaving a space, a gap, to even attempt a proper go at looking for, understanding, and finding God. So that's the beauty of the trap. It not only dupes you before you even know there's a trap ahead of you, but then once you even realize, hey, something's not right here, it just gets you into this hamster wheel of like, oh, always too busy to even take the time to think, is this even the game I want to play? Is this even a game, or is this a trap? Am I becoming who I want to be, who I thought I would be, or am I becoming somebody I don't even recognize? These are questions that are so important, but people don't allow the space for them. And so why should you trust the people who are playing this game, who are just with their heads down, not taking a moment to look up? Literally just look up and realize creation itself is a miracle. It's a blessing. The stars in the sky, the sun that rises each and every day, the breath in our lungs. How the heck did we even get here? Nobody has the time to go down the icebergs of life, which are everywhere. I'm in a room right now. Who built this building? Who built the wall? Where's the material from? Who decided that that door was going to be placed there, or that that bed was going to be put there? It used to be an Airbnb. That's why I didn't put the things where they are, the bed and stuff like that. But questioning, literally questioning, okay? And it's so important because look, people used to think that the world was flat. Galileo was the one who pointed out that, hey, the sun doesn't revolve around the earth revolves around the sun. And he was, what's that word? Not extrapolated, executed. He was put away for that, imprisoned, because of his thoughts that turned out to be true, right? And here's the thing: it's like I'm reading this book by Alan Carr, The Easy Way to Stop Drinking. And here's the thing that really hits me is this is in regards to any vice, really. The more they drag you down, the greater the apparent need for them. The Easy Way to Stop Drinking by Alan Carr. That's essentially at the nucleus of all behavior. It's not about, like, say, okay, now let's frame it in a sense of the things you don't want to do anymore. It's not telling yourself things to condemn yourself, because then you're setting up what Alan Carr would call the forbidden fruit effect. You know you shouldn't do it, so you want to do it even more. And then you give in because your willpower is not enough. And then there's the guilty effect. You knew, obviously you were telling yourself beforehand, hey, don't do it because it's such, whatever, right? And then you do it and you feel so guilty because you know you shouldn't have done it. What's the real solution? The only solution? It's the truth. What are the reasons you're doing what you're doing? The drinking. Is it a social lubricant? Is it because you feel awkward in that environment? Is it because you don't want to deal with the emotional heft of confronting yourself, confronting who you are in front of others? Is it because, not just drinking, but the life you live, are you living it because you are so scared to turn back, to be the only standing amongst the crowd? Because it takes, hey, you got to contend for that idea, no? There's 100 people in the room, 99 agree with one thing. You're the only one to disagree. How willing are you to disagree when you were 100% sure that you're right? Even when you're that convicted. It's hard. I've been there. You see, and I'm talking all this out because, man, like, this took years to be willing to stand on. I knew this in college, that this didn't feel right, but I kept on doing it for 4 years. And the whole time I thought, you know what? When I want to stop, I'll stop. I'll get away from it. Guess what happened? I graduated college, ran away from the environment. First thing I did when I was by myself, buy a 6-pack of beer. As I took the first sip, I literally thought, what the heck am I doing? It wasn't just the environment. I had let the environment come inside of me. There's scripture that goes, the Pharisees are asking Jesus, like, what about washing of the hands and, like, fasting and whatnot? Like, why aren't your disciples doing the same as, like, John's disciples or these other people? And he's like, well, it's not what enters a man that defiles him, but what comes out of him. Be wary of what you're taking in, because it won't necessarily defile you. You can be around people who are drinking. I mean, I'm around people who drink still with family and friends and stuff like that. But mind your environments, because stick around long enough and they won't change, but you will. That's the whole thing with Jesus. Jesus hung out with these people, but he didn't change. They did, or they started hating him because he was a mirror to their livelihoods, their lives, their lifestyles. And it's hard. It is so hard. So how do you walk away from it? How did I walk away from it? Man, it was hard, but it comes down to these 5 things. And how long are we in the video? 13 minutes? Gosh darn. Dang, it's so hard to actually concisely speak this out. But anyways, we're going to keep on rolling because this is going to be for people, not just now, but for later. And it's so important because I don't want you living the default life. I don't want you falling into the same traps I have. Or at the very least, I don't want you living a life in a trap that you can't even conceptualize because you're too far into it. So this is what it takes to walk away and to stand on your own. 1, knowing who Jesus is and his will for us. 2, admitting our own faults. That's huge, so big. 3, sobriety, ridding the vices that detour our lives. 4, fitness, becoming resilient in the face of struggle. 5, building your own community that reinforces and co-creates your life. Why is Jesus so important? Because quite literally, we need God. You read the scriptures, you realize that we could have such a beautiful life following his path for life, following what he laid down. 1 woman, 1 man, in covenant marriage, raising a family. You sidestep poverty. You have somebody who's committed through the ups and downs for you, and who also is helping you understand the gospel ever more, because that union is an analogy, a parallel to Christ and the church. So it's very cool. So one woman, one man, STDs, physical health, spiritual ties, having sex before marriage, like all these things circumvented. Don't you walk right around them. And then also poverty. Two people, one life. Way harder if you're making rational, logical, proper decisions with proper thinking through. It's hard to find yourselves in despair like that. And the more you walk closer to Him, the more you realize, hey, this life in and of itself is a blessing. His love and acceptance is more than enough. So instead of looking for it, your worth, your value in other people, you realize, hey, I'm actually unique in my own right. And I've got gifts that God has given me that I can use to serve others. And what I believe that is for me is He's given me the gift of writing and of exploring ideas, and just this curiosity, this willingness to ask questions, to yearn for the truth and be unflinching toward it. Why? Because it's all about helping people walk closer to Him, truly changing their behavior, like I have done, to walk closer to Him and see the blessings that He has for us. Before all of this, I couldn't find my wife. I'm dating a beautiful girl right now. She's got me head over heels and blowing my mind with how many beautiful surprises of the person she is wrapped up in her personality. I'm getting ahead of myself, but that would have never happened without first admitting my own faults, because I've learned that when I shut off my heart, I shut off the door to God. And what's that lead to? It leads to a hardening of my heart, closing off of my mind of what's possible. And it only took me the notion of God being possibly true just to crack an inch for Him to just widen that opening. And so it matters so much, because yeah, you might have been wrong up until this point. They duped you, but hey, you and I both know at some point you knew what was going on and you still chose it, right? I know I did for sure. So it's such a hard thing for most people to do, but for you and I, if you're anything like me, you've watched the person being a wallflower. We can see the pain in people's eyes, and we've seen it since we've been a kid. You've let that pain come into you. Now, please, for the love of God, choose to walk away, choose to do differently, because you can admit to yourself, hey, I goofed up, but I'm willing to course correct. And 3, how do you do that? You start building evidence for your life. The way I found it to be true is consistency through fitness. Running, for me, it was the marathon. Literally showing myself that when my body wanted to quit, I kept on going. Mind over body, spirit over the flesh. And you do this through building the consistency, building the data that helps you prove to yourself, hey, this person I was before, I'm not them anymore. And yeah, you're going to feel there's always a lag effect. Because think about it, you built this data for this person you used to be for years, and it's towering over you. And now, slowly, you're going to be building this evidence that you're no longer this person, and it'll take time. Hey, it took you years to build that old identity, but at some point, it's going to flip. You can still act as the person you want to become long before you feel like it, okay? 4, oh, I meant to do this beforehand, the sobriety. So before the fitness and building the proof, you got to leave the vices behind, because they're only going to drag you back. And it's sin. It's sin. The nature of sin is to imprison you until it kills you, okay? It literally wants to deaden your senses. So imagine this. When you're hooking up with people, you're literally deadening your senses to love. That act of sleeping with someone is literally the most physical, spiritual, emotional, and the only action that is life-giving. You don't think that's sacred? Literally, that's insane. Just think about it. The most intimate, physical, emotional, spiritual act there is, and the only act there is in this whole entire existence of the universe that is life-giving. You don't think that's special, and you're just giving it up to a stranger? No. And what leads to that? the party life, the drinking, the smoking, it's all one and the same. So leave it behind because it's only causing you to stray from God, from seeing His goodness. So before you can do that, it's admitting the faults. Okay, let's carry on. 5. So look for Jesus, accept Him. 2, admit your own faults to truly understand how good He is and how flawed we are. 3, leave the vices behind because they're just going to cloud your judgment and they're going to be a stumbling block in between you and Christ and the life you desire. 4, building the evidence through the fitness. 5, the evidence through fitness, but also like clean diet, early to bed, early to rise, reading books, writing your thoughts. Get back to the truth. Get back to the clarity. God's writing, it's so simply profound, but you have to come back to the focus. 5, and we're going to round it out here. Construct the architecture. The people and institutions that pull you ever closer to realizing your dreams. It's going to be hard. Remember, the 1 out of the 99. It's going to feel monumental. You're going to feel so much pressure. There are going to be people who actively press against you because not only are you being a mirror to other people, they're being a mirror to you. And they're trying to project what they believe, how they act. Everybody's trying to sell you on the life they're living. So build the community that helps you far more than you could ever realize. Do steps 1 through 4 first because it's building the garden. You build the garden of who you are as a person and the butterflies will come. And as you're building that garden, it's paradoxical. Like, yes, you have to be the first. You have to be willing to be the first, but also go to the others because they do exist, but you have to put yourself in the environments where they do exist. The gym, the run clubs, the ministry events, Bible study groups, the local church. And this is how you construct the life you've dreamed of. Put away the default path. Understand that the people who raised you, who reared you, hey, they did their best. Maybe they didn't have this growing up. They didn't have the people who had these thoughts accessible to them. So they just did what they saw people doing, not just speaking about, but literally the models they had in their life. Stop giving authority over your life to people who never left the default and give it over to the one who's created you and made the design for your life. You follow Him and He will show you what He has planned for you, which is far greater than anything you could have planned for yourself. It's much more abundant than anything you and I could ever plan for ourselves. I promise you. I'm witnessing that right now with the relationship I'm in. It's a beautiful mystery. And so if you're looking for support in building this sober, fit, Christ-centered life, there's going to be a link. You can set up a call and we can chat over how I might be able to support you. I love you. And as always, remember, we never give up. Not in this house.